All right.
Good gravy.
People are going to hear you yelling at me. And hi, everybody. We're live. We're live, by the way, Dana.
Hey,
Um, she was yelling at me, everybody,
tell me you're surprised,
and I
right?
don't. I'm just not here for it.
Yes, you are. You're literally here for it.
I'm totally here for it. But um, so hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. We will be watching
And just
episode.
you do, Sarah. That's what I exactly said. You kiddo includes you. It includes you because you're young.
We will be watching episode 2 of Hilda in a few minutes after we get done with our customary
Nonsense.
nonsense,
Woo!
shooting the breeze, as it were. So yeah, how are you?
Oh God, Steve.
How was your nap? Did you have a nice nap?
I'm not. I think I had a dream too, but I don't remember what it was. I just
Ooh,
remember
nap
that.
dream.
Yeah, I was like, I was gone. I just, it's so exhausting. Man, God, teaching is so exhausting.
Especially under present circumstances. I mean, I'm sure it's exhausting just under the best of circumstances, but especially the last year and a half.
Well, Sarah, that's because I said hi, kiddos, and then I saw your what you that you were here also, and so I also added hi, Sarah, and then I was like, oh yeah, and Sarah's also kiddo. I just didn't want you to think. I wanted to make sure that you knew that you were included. And so first I added you by name since I didn't have a kiddo's name.
I
And
want
then I
to.
was like, I clarified that kiddos also included you as well. You
I
want to
want
what,
to.
Steve?
If I could just interject for a second.
On your own channel?
Actually,
Hey, pizza!
oh, pizza. Actually, I'm going to steal your gimmick and talk to the chat. Um, I wanted to ask Caitlin because Caitlin L says Ghostbusters was my favorite film when I was 5 years old. Caitlin, when you were five, did you get that it was a comedy, or did you realize that later in life? Because that was my experience with Ghostbusters, and also with the Adam West Batman show. When I first watched it when I was like a little kid, it was completely over my head that it was a comedy. I
You just
took it
thought it
as
was good.
yeah, I took it as totally straight. And the same thing with Ghostbusters. I thought it was like, ooh, it's so exciting. They're saving the city from these ghosts. And it hit me years later, like, oh, this is funny. This is supposed to be funny. So I was just wondering if that was Caitlin's experience as well.
Oh, hey, I just got a notification that Trek Reluctantly is going to be tonight.
Oh, good. I almost forgot.
Just in case, folks.
I love how I guess it's because it's just the same. It's easier just to have it be the same
Oh,
functionality for everybody. But like when I go and I look at the page of one of my upcoming live streams and it still has the set reminder button, like yeah, I guess maybe just to make sure I could set a reminder for my own live stream.
if I ever have live streams on my channel, I'm going to need this at like 4.
Have
Like,
stuff on your phone, like oh, that is tonight.
exactly. Yeah. What? That's tonight. Wait. What's? I know I have that on Wednesday. What day is it?
Oh, and Caitlin did get that it was a comedy even at the tender age of 5. Well, you were a sharper kid than I, because it took me a little while before it registered with me that it was a comedy. So good for you.
Well, also, I mean, I don't know. There were like when I first saw Clue, I was 10, and like, of course, I just don't remember things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I knew that it was like a comedy because like people die. A fair number of people die, you know?
Oh yeah.
But, I knew that there were jokes in it and there were funny parts, but I don't know that I thought of it as a comedy. Could be screwball
Interesting.
comedy too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. A really wacky comedy.
Communism is just a red herring.
I also, Caitlin, just what was or is your favorite joke in Ghostbusters? Because mine is from near the beginning before the ghosts even show up, when they're at the library and they're walking through the stacks and they come upon the books that are stacked in a pile, like just straight up, and Ray takes that as evidence of paranormal activity, And Bill Murray just deadpans, yes, you're right. No human being would stack books this way. That killed. And obviously Dana doesn't think it's funny, but I think it's the best joke in the whole movie.
In a well-maintained library, if a patron was pulling that kind of shenanigans, the librarians would say, this is not the best for, the spines of the books to have that kind of pressure on them. That's why we stack them. That's part of why we stack them sideways.
So you're saying no human being would stack books that way?
I'm saying that there might be some jerks who would try it, but in a well-maintained library, such as the New York Public Library.
The New York Public Library?
Exactly. I mean, those librarians, they don't mess around. They take care of their books, Steve.
Oh, we just got a super chat from Philip Kehoe. Thank you, Philip, who says,
Philip.
He says, Steve, the thoughtful engagement with your material reflects well on Star Trek fans and the community you've cultivated on this channel. Also jokes. Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much. I appreciate the sentiment, and I appreciate the super chat. That's really nice.
Yeah, your curation of your community is kicking.
And also, apparently, some people are experiencing technical difficulties. I'm not sure why. Says they say we are melting. I have no idea what the deal
melting.
is.
I missed the melting.
I don't know. Oh yeah. It does kind of.
Oh, we've melted.
We've melted. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Steve. Fix that.
I don't.
Come on, man.
I don't know how to fix it. Let me.
What?
I don't know if I don't even know if it's something that I did.
Oh! So now you're passing the buck.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah, they're right. It does look. It looks melty. So let me see if I can.
This isn't an Indiana Jones stream, YouTube. My God. Wow, Steve's really focused.
Well, I wanted to see if I can. I don't know. I don't know if I can fix it or not. It's just, yeah. I'm not sure what the deal is.
Ah, yes.
Oh, there it is. Now
we're ready to believe you.
Now it's back.
I love that.
Okay. I don't know if that's something I did or if it just fixed itself. I honestly have no idea.
I don't know what's going on, folks. So
I did adjust. Apparently, it might have been me. Apparently, my bit rate was too high. So,
can't have that.
I lowered the bit rate, and that has fixed it apparently. So
Jepson says, "Stop touching things." Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Or I mean, I'm glad that we're back, I guess.
Yes, hi everybody.
Wow, cascading signal garbage. Woo!
Cascading signal garbage. Well, it's hopefully it's back now because I dialed back the. Well, because see, I think what happened was because I didn't tell you, Dana, because it's not that interesting, and I just didn't share this with you. But I upgraded my internet speed this week, and as a result, I also bumped up my bit rate for the stream, and this is the first stream that I've done since I did
with
that.
The updated bit rate.
Yeah, so I guess I just boosted it too high. YouTube couldn't handle it. So
yeah, come on, YouTube.
So now it's back. Now it's back to a manageable rate, and apparently that's okay. So good.
Kapooper. Exactly. I understand completely now.
And by the way, Sarah, one of the first movies you remember seeing was Galaxy Quest. You are a youngin', my God.
On DVD.
Wow. You are definitely in the kiddo group then. Yeah. David Cedric, I suspect the deep state as well. They're trying to shut down my freedom of speech. I think that's Corey, I get it. It was a bit much. It was a bit much. You had to really emphasize it for me to get it because it went over my head the first time. But then he's like, that was a bit. He had to camp out on it like Bob Hope used to do with his punchlines. When he would like tell a joke, during like a monologue for one of his TV specials, Bob Hope would tell a joke and it would just get kind of a smattering of laughs. And he would just stare right down the barrel of the camera and wait till those motherfuckers laughed at it. He would sit on it until he got a laugh.
I have students that I haven't heard from in a week, Steve.
I know.
Oh, I hope they're not dead. I hope they're not even in the hospital.
Thanks for bringing us back to the bright side. I hope they're not. I mean, I hopefully it goes without saying. I hope they're not dead too.
Boy, oh boy. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and by Caitlin, yes, I did see your favorite joke, and that is the bit with the hotel is hilarious. That is a good one. That and when Bill Murray, after he goes and sees Dana when she's possessed by Zool, and he's back talking to the rest of the gang about it, and he's like, "Oh, I found out she likes to sleep above her covers, 4 feet above her covers." Yeah, oh, yeah. Now we're just doing Ghostbusters. So yeah, the flowers are still standing is awesome too. That might be second favorite. The flowers are still standing.
Oh,
I know. I can't remember if I saw Galaxy Quest in the theater or not, because Empire Jeff says he saw it in the theater. I can't remember if I did or not. I may have. I know I saw it. You know, after it came out, like it wasn't years later. Like I saw it that year, but I can't remember if I saw it in the theater or not, or if I waited until it came out on video.
I don't remember.
255 AD. What was the first movie I ever saw in a theater? The earliest movie I can remember seeing in the theater was probably An American Tail. I think that was the first one. Or maybe there was a theatrical re-release of Pete's Dragon when I was a little kid, and I remember that because I walked out. I asked my mom if we could go. I found it so boring. I was like, "Can we just go?"
We legitimately, I think, what's today? I think we watched that last night. I sang along for the whole damn thing.
Oh, the original with
yes.
I have.
I love Pete's Dragon.
I think we talked about this before because I know I told you that before, and I mean I honestly remember nothing about it. It's entirely possible that I could watch it today and think it was delightful, but for whatever reason, when I was when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was just bored to death by it, and I was like, "Can we just go?"
Oh, so. Jemshin, that is a paper tiger. Actually, it's a paper mache tiger. It's not wood.
So. It's a paper tiger.
It's totally a paper tiger. Oh, Sarah Scott, Treasure Planet.
Oh wow, so that's another favorite of yours. Yeah.
Yeah. What did I don't really like that crew of yours. But what did I say? I said something rather good. It's like something like a ludicrous band of galoots or something. Ma'am. There you go. Poetry. I love the characters are so good. Pirates on my ship. I'll see they all hang. God, I love Captain Amelia. He's so great. Caitlin, now that's a movie I want to see.
Mobsters Inc. Yeah.
Incorporated. Yes. Thank you.
As long as Bruce Springsteen's Murder Incorporated is the theme song.
Okay, Chipshin, yes, you don't have to be old enough to understand it to get that he's got a fantastic costume. Like, yeah, I literally, like, I got up from my seat and I did the whole thing. I don't think I had the exact choreography that he did, but yeah, the money, the swinging of the cape. It's awesome.
I remember because you showed me the clip of that, like relatively recently, and this I think it's another point where I think we there are times when we have different tastes because I watched it and I was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't think it was bad by any stretch, but I was not like, jumping around and think, oh my God, that's amazing. Obviously, like you are completely delighted by it, and
I love it.
And I was just like, oh, it's so that's fine, like. 255 AD, what's the first sci-fi movie I ever saw? I don't remember the first sci-fi movie I ever saw in the theater. It was probably a Star Trek movie, maybe Star Trek 5, but
Because
I can't
you're
be
a
sure.
nerd.
But I'm pretty sure, and again, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the first sci-fi movie I ever saw in any form was have a memory of watching 2001: A Space Odyssey on TV when I was very young. Like way too young to really understand what was going on. I just knew like, oh, look, there's monkeys. Oh, and now they're in space. You know what I mean? Like it was, but obviously it left an impression on me because now that's one of my favorite movies. But I remember seeing it on TV when I was really little.
Baby Steve.
So that might have been it, but I'm not sure.
Mm.
And yeah, I didn't see. I was 3 when Return of the Jedi came out, so I didn't see any of the original Star Wars movies in the theater. I didn't see Star Wars in the theater until the special edition re-releases in 1997.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember going to the movie theater as a child. I don't think I do. I'm not saying that it didn't happen.
Right. You just don't have a vivid memory. Yeah.
Or I mean, any. Like at all.
You don't have a vivid memory of anything, but especially of going to the theater.
I don't have any memory of going to the theater, vivid or not.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh gosh, yeah, no, the snake oil one from before, not money by the pound, or I'm not sure what that's called. What that's the earlier one when Passamaquoddy, and he can't remember that. I never liked the bit of that, like the main part of that song where he can't remember the name of the town. But yeah, the bit where he's like, I will $1 and I will cure everything, and he just mixes it up and dumps the tincture in the woman's ears, and our new housemate was like, did he just pour that in her ears? And then, wait, that's his helper. Best thing ever. Ah. Hola, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew. Oh boy, 255 AD bringing the movie questions here in our opening chat. A movie we were allowed to watch even though we were way too young. My big brother tricked our grandmother into renting Final Destination when I was 8.
I didn't have any of those.
I'm trying to remember.
Like when I was little, we weren't allowed. I mean, it's not like we weren't allowed to watch anything, but no sex, no drugs, no violence. Like we weren't allowed to watch things like G.I. Joe and Power Rangers.
That's a little excessive.
Well, I mean, mostly because they didn't want us hitting each other when we played. So, I mean, there was that.
For me, I think I don't remember specifically, but knowing what was out when I was a particular age and remembering that like I did see trying to remember like what age I was when I did see certain movies. It was probably a Rambo movie. That was the movie that, I saw when I was too young, quote unquote, too young to see it. It was probably First Blood Part 2. Because that is like a super violent movie. Like you watch it now and I mean, it's like a cartoon. Like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that get killed in it, but it's not remotely upsetting or, because it's just so over the top and so ridiculous. It's like the most violent episode of the A-Team ever. You know what I mean? Like but that was probably it. Like the first quote unquote adult movie that, I saw when I was, that my parents were like, sure, you can watch that. Or I probably watched it with them. It was probably on TV or my dad rented it or something and I watched it with them.
Honestly, it was probably Clue.
Yeah, Clue is, well, yeah, because there's, murder in it and such. Clue's not really a little kid's movie. I mean.
Well, and references to prostitution. I don't think they have any actual prostitution in the movie.
Yeah. Andrew, that's great. Doing research to see if Hilda is appropriate for Kara. She wants to watch it for no other reason than the lovely swearing man likes it.
That's pretty awesome. 255 AD Christians. I don't
anti-violence hippies.
Yeah, we're very much like as in my dad's side of the family, we literally have a Mennonite church that is like the family church.
Yeah.
So, you know, not conservative in the, you know, fundamentalist, but, you know, like plain, you know, yeah, that now we're I'm two generations removed from that, because you know, his dad lived in the city, he grew up in the city. You know, we're all English. So, you know, but no, we're yeah, very very much, you know, I would not hippies necessarily, but I mean, my parents are both teachers, and you know, they want and also, well, the other thing was we grew up broke, really. You know, I grew up in a mostly one income parent household. My dad's a teacher.
Yeah.
So, like a bunch of usually three kids, because I have a brother and sister who are significantly older than me. By the time I came along, they were just about, they were in high school. And so then by the time my younger brothers came around, they were moving out, but they were still, now there are three young kids instead of one young kid and two older kids. So yeah, three kids plus the parents, one teacher's salary. So yeah, we didn't have television. So that took care of a lot of it. And also we didn't go out to the movies a whole lot because we couldn't afford to. So yeah. So it was, books, library books, lots and lots of library stuff. Because you know what? Libraries are free, guys. So yeah, really. Yeah, the lovely swearing man really should be your social
The
identity.
lovely swearing man. It's a title I have worn with pride for a few years now.
Yeah, you should be proud of it.
I am. The innocence of a child, you know, and the honesty. Um, and, you know, something else. I remember when I was little. It's not. I guess it was technically it's a movie because it was one of the TV movies of the Incredible Hulk. The Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk. They did 3 or 4 TV movies of that after the show was over, and
Wow.
and none of which are all that great, but like they're not that great, but they're fun, and especially if you're like a fan of that show, which I definitely am. Like they're, you know, you should at least watch them. Um, and but when I was a kid, I used to like it, but whenever he would turn into the Hulk and his eyes would go white and they'd get that music sting that indicated the transformation, was like when I was a little kid, that scared me. Um, so I would
Scared tiny Steve.
yeah, so like I would want to watch it because I liked it even as a little kid, but whenever he would change, it would scare me. So, you know, that was kind of, you know, both were like I watched it because I liked it, but also I would get scared when that happened.
255 AD, I do to some extent. I mean, there is, you know, I wouldn't want my kids to see things that, you know, upset them to a degree that they couldn't explain or understand. Like there is a degree of being scared of experiencing fear through fiction that is healthy, because it allows you to deal with experiencing fear in a way that's safe. That's part of what makes horror and like slasher films and things like that. That's part of what makes them fun, is that you know that you're safe. You're in a safe, comfortable environment, and you know that you're okay. So you can experience that. And the same thing with you know, drama and you know, sad movies. It's cathartic. You get to experience you get to experience that sort of misery, but it's not your problems. So it's okay, you know, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. Right. It's not like, you know, like when you pass a car crash and you're like, or just shoot, when you just pass somebody who got pulled over for speed and you're like, oh, thank God that's not me.
It's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's not the best feel. I'm
yeah.
exaggerating. It's not the best
Okay.
feeling in the world, but it's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
it's that sense of relief
Yeah.
is, palpable. And but I mean, not for you, Steve, because you're a horrible person with no soul. But me, I feel a little bit guilty because I'm like, I was speeding and it could have been me. But I'm glad it was them instead of me. And then I'm just like, oh, that's just not right. I'm just, glorying in somebody else's pain.
Yeah.
But when it's fiction, it's made up and nobody's really experiencing that pain. So then you can just you can experience that and deal with it. And you don't have to, there's no reason to feel bad because nobody actually went through all that misery. Yay.
Yay. Speaking of fiction, how's this for a segue?
A little funky, but go for it.
I'm going
It's
for it.
6:27.
Shall we watch the episode of Hilda?
Let's
So we can then
do.
talk. So everybody, make sure you've got it queued up on Netflix. We're watching episode 2, which is titled Chapter 2: The Midnight Giant. And because it's so short, we will be watching it straight through without taking a break. We won't do like we do with Deep Space Nine and pause and stuff. We'll just watch it straight on through, and hopefully not talk over it too much, except for the odd quip here and there. And then when we get to the end, we'll talk about it and hang out with the chat some more. And go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so 255 AD asked. So Caitlin, I'm going to 255 AD. I see your question, but I'm going to jump to Caitlin's. So how do we know reality is real? Adults, any adults, when kids ask questions like this, if you don't know, just say, well, I don't know. What do you think? Turn it right around on them, see what they say, and then go from there. If you don't know, just say that you don't know. It's okay not to know. Demonstrate that it's okay not to know, and it's okay to show children how you deal with not knowing something, not having all the answers. Because let me tell you, kids don't have all the answers, and they're really they're looking to us a lot of the times to see how we deal with things. And it's okay to not have all the answers. And when you're a grown up, sometimes you won't have sometimes you still won't have the answers, and you got to learn how to deal with that. As far as fiction with emotions that kids can't handle, it's going to depend on the 7-year-old. There are,
True.
yeah, I don't. I mean, I would want to have an idea of what the kid is scared of. Like some kids are going to be scared of spiders or snakes, or some kids are going to be scared of seeing blood or things coming, or someone being injured or harmed.
Right.
So it's going to depend on the kid. And if I've raised a kid till 6 or 7, hopefully I have some idea of what they're scared of. I would hope. I would really hope that I would know. And I would try to make sure that I read reviews of anything that was scary, or
Right.
and watched at least some of it to get an idea of the tone.
Yeah, ideally you would be able to watch it beforehand, but I know time is a factor.
Yeah,
you can't
it's not always. So
Yeah.
so look at the reviews, what other parents have expressed concern about, that kind of thing.
I would say stay away from the work of Lars von Trier, just as a rule.
Okay.
It's a little intense for kids.
So, and I mean, and sometimes even something like Jurassic Park has some.
There's some intense parts.
Yeah, not well, and also, or even little things where it's not like it's intended exactly as a jump scare in the horror way, but it's like a surprise, and it's not supposed to necessarily be scary, but some kids will take it that way.
Yeah.
It really depends on the kid.
Yeah. Later, Andrew.
Anyway, bye, Andrew. Sorry.
Hopefully you can come back.
And if not, you're gonna watch the replay.
That's right. Okay, so
TikTok.
we're gonna watch episode 2 of Hilda. Hopefully everybody has it queued up. And Dana, is your Netflix ready to go, or do you need to read?
My Netflix is so ready to go.
Awesome.
Where's my number? I'm at 0.
Well, so am I. How about that?
Gee, imagine that. You gonna count us in?
I'm gonna count us, and everybody get ready to watch. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Badong.
Badong.
Yeah, Caitlin, if a kid asks about it, obviously it's not too confusing.
Yeah,
or at least
right.
the question isn't. Steve, do you have pizza? I haven't
I
seen
have.
that.
Yes, I do. I was waiting until we started watching. I have it right here.
Aw. See, you're
I
so much better with temptation than I am.
I always
Well,
have
if
pizza.
if you choose to be.
Yes, exactly. If I don't want to, then what's the point?
I don't know.
Oh no, the wolves are migrating.
Shut it, Steve. I'm trying to watch the episode.
They have special combs for that.
I love they poke holes in the box so they can
you
crawl out.
don't want them to suffocate.
Oh, and she's got a picture of Hilda right beside her bed.
Kiss up.
Mm. Caitlin, that's interesting because in American English, nits are the eggs and lice are the, bugs.
Oh, we have Stranger Things music.
Well, I mean, they are pretty strange things.
They are.
Mm.
Azalea, we're watching episode 2 of Hilda, and if you need to catch up, the time code is up there.
Hey, Azalea, that's okay. We still love you. What the?
You don't even know me.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a booty call. the sky is the trans flag on night mode.
Love it. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, it's a gated community. Well, that makes sense.
Her face.
Yeah.
A house sandwich. Her little face.
It's the red hour. Ah, there's my man. No, I'm not.
Yeah, he did. He just didn't give you an answer you wanted.
No, it's hilarious that he has such a nice house.
See, they wait to be invited. Azalea Jane, exactly.
Whoops. Oh, bye,
Bye,
Sarah.
Sarah. Sleep well. Apparently not, Caitlin L.
I love the Woodman.
I love how the feet just go bump
Yep,
right in.
just right in. Can you let me out? I have to go to the bathroom.
Gotta pee. Up, 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 up.
Oh. And she dresses no warmer.
She put a hat on and a jacket and
Did she?
mittens.
Huh.
Yes.
Well, it looks exactly the same.
Pay attention, Stephen.
What's the conversion? Now this is some never-ending story shit. Somebody brought up never-ending story earlier.
You need paperwork.
Exactly.
You daft human.
They're very legalistic, these elves.
Nah, bureaucratic and legalistic.
Bureaucratic. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Can't do it. Too busy.
How dare you?
Uh-oh.
We can say that. You can't say that.
That's not good. Bloosh, 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 bloosh. And now we don't have to worry about the king.
Jemshin. Yay, genocide.
How exciting.
That's not good. I like that they have a constitutional monarchy. He has to consult the prime minister. Oh. Good thing mom didn't sign the papers.
Mom seems nice. I doubt that she'd step on elf houses if she could see them.
That's true.
It's just stuff, Azalea.
Aw, and they go into space.
Or they just go
Or
somewhere
something.
to another mountain.
Another mountain. Exactly.
Oh no, Twig, run!
Ah, nice. Ooh,
Nah.
intriguing. Well, there we have it.
So, let's see. Who all told us about knits? I think 255 AD and Sarah, maybe?
Did Caitlin mention it? I can't remember.
Maybe.
But yeah,
So,
about knits being
unfortunately,
lice. Yeah.
that's how I know. It's yeah. It's a pretty common, apparently, saying that knits make lice, and it's not a pleasant saying at all.
It wouldn't be,
You know,
would it?
kind of genocidal, generally. Yeah, so that's how I know the difference between knits and
Knits
lice.
and
That was how I learned it. Yay.
Charming.
Um,
Charming. Yeah.
and actually, I got lice when I was teaching pre-K. It's like I was like, oh my god, there's bugs in my hair. Why bugs in my hair? And then I was like, oh, that's what lice is. Okay, it's when you have bugs crawling around in your hair. I don't like this. I don't like this. This is not good. So it was a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
I learned that I didn't like it.
I can't imagine most
like
people do. I can't imagine most people find that they have lice and are like, oh, sweet. That's even better than I thought it would be.
It really, I mean, once I got past the holy heck, what's going on? You know, kind of like Hilda does.
Yeah.
When she's like, why is my head so itchy? More it wasn't just the why is my head so itchy, because I like having my skin. I'm very head massage is so nice.
Yeah.
So it just, you know, it doesn't even I don't even have to have an itchy head to enjoy, like, it just feels good.
Yeah, it just feels good. Yeah.
It really does. Oh, that's really interesting, Caitlin. It's in their eggs. So anyhow, yeah. Finding out they're because like I think when I first noticed them, I'm like, ants? Why are there ants in my hair? Did like I mean, because like I would, you know, hang around outside, and you know, sometimes there are ants crawling up in the trees. And like I'd had ants fall out of the trees on me before. So I was just like, is there a tree that has lots of ants on it? And I like got hit. Then I was like, no, they're on me. And then after I got over it, I was like, okay. You know, after I figured it out, I was like, okay, not a big deal. 255 AD, I wouldn't know. I've never been there.
Yeah, I never have either. But it does, I mean, it does, it has a very sort of Northern European kind of vibe, you know. I really liked in this episode, I liked the character design of the giant. It reminded me of like a Miyazaki character. I could easily see him like showing up in like Howl's Moving Castle or, you know, Princess Mononoke or something. He would fit right in. It would be, you know, yeah, it's just, I love that character design.
Except I feel like he, you know, very sort of slow moving and yet, you know, unstoppable force type thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, less forceful. Just sort of like, oh, okay. So things have changed.
Yeah.
And there are beings here who aren't happy with us. We don't have to be here. We can go somewhere else.
We'll leave.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
They're like even more chill than the creatures in like the Totoros or the, gosh, what did they call them in Princess Mononoke?
Oh, I forget what they're called, but
gosh, they were my favorite. I love them. So, and
Andrew's back.
Yes, that is exactly what I did. Comb them out and then special shampoo to make sure that they never ever come back.
Scorch the earth.
or your scalp, as it may
Your
be.
scalp. Yeah. But yeah, so I like that. I noticed, I guess for some reason in the first episode, I never noticed that the Woodman's head doesn't actually connect to the rest of his body, which I noticed that this time, and I love that. That's just such
Mhm.
a weird, neat little detail that his head is just kind of floating there.
Yep.
Um, and
I'm so glad you just really enjoy the Woodman.
I
I
love
like
the
that.
Woodman so much. He's such a great character. And one and what I liked that like the story about the two giants I thought was lovely,
Hmm.
and it felt like a fairy
You
tale.
would.
Like, well, yeah, but I mean, but it felt like a fairy tale. It felt like, oh, I sat there for 4,000 years and fell asleep, and I was covered
Hmm.
with snow and people just thought I was a mountain. Like that feels very fairy
Yeah.
tale. So I like that. And it was sweet, the reunion between them, and then they leave together. Like I liked all of that. And I
You
liked,
big softy.
uh, you know, and I liked that their house got stepped on and they're moving to the city. Like I didn't see that coming. I figured that I figured I just assumed I don't I'm not like a super active watcher. Like I don't try to guess where the show is going. I just kind of let it take me along. But I assumed that the show would be set in the country, that they would just it would be
It's about
centered
Hilda
around.
having adventures, right?
Yeah, it,
And
it would be centered around their
Poland
house. And
seems very normal.
yeah, and so the fact, so it kind of, now it feels like we're only in episode 2, so it feels like it's kind of opened up now. It's like, oh wow, I have no idea where this is going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
mean,
like the house is Guy Fleegman's character, crewman number 6. That's who dies. To let you know that the situation
yes,
is serious
I'm the
and
one who
anybody
dies to
can
let you know the
die.
situation is serious. And someone in the chat pointed out like the symmetry between, the way the giants step on their house and the way the elves were reacting to the humans,
Hmm.
stepping on
And
their
then
stuff.
she
Like
looks
it,
down and her mother's
yeah,
foot is through an elf house and she's just like, oh, so
yeah,
that's what it's like, kind of, except for the fact that when they do this to the elves, that's like it doesn't destroy their stuff.
right,
That's a significant difference that I think they kind of gloss over just a little bit. But
yeah,
that's what I said. That I like that they just accept that their stuff is destroyed and they move on. I that's one of the things I love the most. The mother is obviously disconcerted about it.
yeah.
Hilda's not. She's really not. She's like, almost all of her stuff is gone. She assumes that her sketchbook is just gone. And she's glad to get it back, but she wasn't just like, I mean, it's her sketchbook.
She wasn't like disconsolate or anything. Yeah.
No.
Well,
So
she's
yeah,
she's a durable, resilient
she
kid.
is. She
Yeah,
is.
and 255 AD, I had the same thought. Does this mean the elves will be running the world in another 4,000 years? I had the same thought of like, well, if the giants got sick of it and left, when the humans started throwing stuff at them,
Yeah, but see, I
the
think
elves
the
are kind
giants
of
are
hoping for the same
maybe they're
outcome.
hoping for it. The humans, I think, are less chill and more stubborn than the giants are.
And also, it's more difficult for us to just fly off into space and leave. I
A
mean,
little bit, yeah.
unless the humans in this show can do that. I don't know. Maybe the rules of this world are that different, and they could literally just be like, "Well, we'll just
The
go to
rules
space to
of this
hell."
world are clearly somewhat different.
Well, yeah, there's elves and
Somewhat
stuff.
different.
Yeah, but yeah,
Maybe there are here too, Steve, and we just haven't signed the paperwork.
maybe. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I feel the same way that I felt after the last episode, only more so. It's a really really likable, charming, fun series, and yeah.
So even though it's fantasy and it's got elves with
Look,
pointy ears,
don't ruin it for me.
I did.
Um,
I'm just saying.
I think we talked about this in at the end of the first episode, which is it's part of it for me is the rule of funny. Like it's funny. It's not all funny. Like obviously there are sweet moments in
But
it
it
too,
tells
but
that you're thinking it tells a good story.
it tells a good story and it has a a perspective on it where
Mm-hmm.
like it treats it as it's whimsical. You know what I mean? It's not what I think. I know we've talked about this before. One of the things
It's truly like it's fantasy in the sense that it's truly fantastic. It captures that sense of,
yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah.
like
One
we're
of the
just gonna go with it. Anything can happen. We're just gonna go with it. Do we know what's gonna happen? Heck no. But let's go. Let's have an adventure. Yeah,
exactly.
it
Yeah,
captures. I think it captures what I feel like it actually means for something to be fantastic.
yeah.
You know, it
Fantasy
captures
in
that
the
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
not like in the because I mean yeah, not fantasy in the sense of like high fantasy like Lord of the Rings stuff, like but like fantasy in
Which
the
is
sense
not
of a
particularly
fantastic story.
fantastic. Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think it's fantastic at all.
Not in the
But
sense of being like really, really good, but just in the sense of being, that sense of, you know, that sense of wonder. You don't
right,
have that in Lord of the Rings, period.
right.
And they really do have it in here. Just like, oh, okay. And she's just very, Hilda's very, very willing to accept the possibility of magic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think having it seen through the eyes of a child does make a difference. I mean, I think that's in addition like just the overall tone of the show and because that I think that's one of the reasons why I find Harry Potter to be a lot more palatable than Lord of the Rings as well. And again, the movies because I haven't read the books, but the Harry Potter movies. I mean, I would watch the worst Harry Potter movie twice in a row before I'd watch whatever people think is the best Lord of the Rings movie because I just find them tedious and interminable. But Harry Potter, it has a lot of the same elements, but it's a very different tone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's seen through the eyes of a young person who is at least in the earlier films is still sort of discovering things and
Through the eyes of a child.
exactly. Yeah, and Kemp Chalmers was asking what the next Deep Space Nine episode is, and you've got it just now. It's the Circle. That's it's yeah, the next episode 2 of season 2. It's called The Circle. That's the one we're watching next week. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Hilda a lot.
I'm so glad.
I'm
I
really
really
enjoying it a lot. Yeah, me too.
am. Well, I mean, if you didn't, I mean, I would be fine with not with switching out and watching something else.
Unless it was like
Lord of the
absolute.
Rings.
Well, yeah. I mean, unless it was just absolutely awful, I can't imagine not wanting to at least watch it for the show. I mean, because like if you and I were just watching it privately,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wasn't digging it, I can see saying I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this.
It
But
would it would depend if it was just something you're like and you're just not really if it gave us something to talk about and we disagreed about I like it and here's why you
yeah,
don't and it gave us some conversation that would be fine. But if you're just like and if you just weren't into it and just kind of and you're like I think that would make the show not as good like for your
oh yeah.
audience. And so it would it would depend on if it made a good show.
At least if it's
So
it has to be engaging
your
in some sense.
suffering can be fun for your audience.
So I'm told. Actually, it's funny. Is it sometimes with the I played up the suffering a little bit in the video I made about the Titans series, and people were like leaving comments going, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, like yeah, I'm playing it up. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I will point out that when I'm I know what I want to do since there's a few people here. Hey, if you guys are on Twitter, if you'll like tweet and boost my not the most recent video, which I think is just grammar, which is great. But the one with the crappy lighting.
oh yeah, the one about about standardized testing and
Yeah, the one about standardized testing. I really want that to get some traction. The idea that we should have, first of all, that we should have less standardized testing. I'm not I'm not completely against standardized testing. I think there does need to be some form of allowing us to see across nationwide the way that different schools are performing. According to the same metric. I think there should be a little bit of standardized testing, but I think it needs to include an opportunity in a similar standardized way for students to share their ideas and attitudes about their school and their experience with education. I mean that should be as important as the performance metrics on the tests. So please, I would really love it if you would boost that and contact your, send that out to your legislators. You know who your legislators are and you follow them on social media, right? right? I
Right?
will say I only follow my senators.
Well, in your case, that is completely understandable.
Because let me tell you, I don't have to follow my representatives to find out
Oh,
about
you
what
hear
she's up
about her.
to.
You hear what she's doing.
I
Yeah.
can't
Huh.
escape Marjorie Taylor Greene. My
Yeah.
goodness.
No.
Um,
Um. But yeah.
ugh.
Oh, so a
Yes, he
couple.
is, Philip Kehoe.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say a couple questions in the chat. I am really very very much looking forward to Doom Patrol season 3. I think it comes out in a little less than a month now. It comes out next month. I'm super looking forward to it. I love the first 2 seasons of Doom Patrol. Um, and 255 AD asks, "Do you care about finding out the
I
lore?"
bet I know.
I bet you do too. But let me finish reading the question. Do you care about finding out the lore of this world at all? Do you want to know what those dog things are, or how the government works, or whatever? I care. I'm interested in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I have no interest in the world or the creatures for their own sake, or how the government works for its own sake. I am interested in the story. So if through the telling of the story you
We find
learn,
out some of that.
yeah, that's great. That's the kind of world building I like.
If
That's how
it
I think it.
continues to be a well-told story.
Exactly. That's world building. That, I mean, again, the thing, world building, at least in my experience, is a relatively recent term. I mean, I'm sure the term has been around for a while, but the way people use it frequently now is relatively recent. When I was, growing up and in school and first learning about,
When you were a lad?
yeah, when I was a lad and learning about, criticism and media analysis and stuff, that's that. It's just sort of part and parcel of what I would consider storytelling. And you know, I don't and I think I said before, like, I, even in things that I really love, like Star Trek or superhero comics and stuff, I don't give a shit about world building for its own sake. I don't care. I don't get The only reason I give a shit about Gotham City is because that's where Batman lives. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the story takes place. If there's not a story, I don't care. So I am interested in the world of Hilda, but I'm interested in it because it's the setting of a story that I like, not because I'm innately fascinated by the little details. I'm interested in the story.
Yep, we knew that.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, Kemp Chalmers. Yeah, Brendan Fraser. He did his career was derailed by he had to get, I think he had to get back surgery. He hurt
Mhm.
himself during a movie, but he is so good in Doom Patrol. I mean, he is just so good as the voice of Cliff, and um, I you have to admire any actor who finds so many different ways to deliver the line "What the fuck," and to always make it entertaining, and to always make it the case, "What the fuck." It's like Cliff is my favorite character. Cliff is one
That's
of my
it.
favorite
That's it.
characters.
That's it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I need to send you that trailer. I knew that
Oh,
was a
the
good
of
film.
that you were, yeah,
See,
of
I
the
forgot. I forgot, Steve. That's
I
what I
and I
do.
and I forgot to remind you. Yeah.
So, acting. Is
Yeah,
that
Kate,
him
Kate,
in the
Caitlin
movie?
L. Exactly. It's a backstory, and I feel the same way about backstory that I just said about world building. Like, I don't get backstory is backstory. Backstory is not story. That's one of the
But it
reasons
can be.
it can be, but I mean
But
that's
see, for a lot of people, backstory doesn't mean story. It means details. It means
yeah,
character. World building in terms of character.
yeah,
In character details.
yeah,
It's not
and
actually story. And
yeah,
so when somebody says backstory, I think story, and they don't always mean story. And I'm just like,
no,
oh, okay. But
um,
I'm interested in the story that makes up a character's backstory, if that makes sense. I'm like, sure, let's tell that story. Let's explore that story.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, and it depends on your point of view too. And also, Karosh, I just want to Karosh. No, it is not actually Brendan Fraser in the robot. It's another actor playing Cliff in the robot costume. Brendan Fraser just does the
Oh,
voice.
Steve,
I know. Kemp
congratulations.
Kemp's 3-year-old just said, "What the fuck." Well,
Yay.
hey, Brendan Fraser deserves most of the credit because I was just doing an imitation of him. So if I had a way to contact him, I would pass it along. But also, I mean, it depends on your how you approach it, because, like, I think one of the things I often mention when I talk about like Superman in a video, I'll say like that one of the reasons why I don't care about Krypton is, to me, Krypton is backstory. And so I'm not particularly interested in stories that are set on Krypton, because to me, the way I approach the character and the way I, engage with Superman is Krypton is only there to blow up. That's all Krypton needs to do. That's all I want Krypton to do. Like,
but see, my thought is every character, anybody potentially has a story.
Yes. Oh, you're right.
And
there are people who are interested in it. I mean, there are people who are interested in Krypton stuff, and that's fine. Like, it's not my. Go ahead.
Done.
Well, because you never interrupt me at all, do you?
Well, yeah, but when I interrupt, it's because I have something meaningful to say. Come on, man! You saw that shit.
Our double standard's great. Go ahead.
But only when they favor me.
Exactly. Go ahead.
But if I told a Krypton story, Steve, it would be good, and you would like it.
Oh, sure. And if I go back through the archives, I can probably find a couple of Superman stories that take place on Krypton that I do think are good stories. But it doesn't change the fact that as a rule, like, just like I'm not terribly interested in stories about like Bruce Wayne when he's like a kid, or when he's like out training before he becomes Batman. Like, I'm just like, I don't care. This is backstory. I don't care. Get me
So you could just as easily say that year 1 is backstory, or year 5.
Well, but year 1 he's Batman. Year 1 he's Batman.
So
that's the title of the book. That's the title of the book.
That's not where we're at in the continuity. That's still previous to current continuity.
Yeah. But this goes to my point about how you perceive it.
Yeah. So I mean, just because he's not calling himself Batman, So at what point? I guess that's what my question is. At what point does it go from being backstory to story?
Right. And I guess a part of it depends on how far back we're going. Like, if somebody wanted to do like, and I don't know why you would do this because we all know the story, but if you wanted to do like the origin story of Superman, and it starts when he's like a teenager or something, and it ends with him putting on the super suit at the end, right? Like, technically that's mostly backstory because he's not Superman for most of the story. Mm-hmm. But you're leading up to it, and the whole point is we're going to get to the point where where we know that things sort of take off, and hopefully there is some creative reason to want to take off, and hopefully there is at least some creative justification for wanting to tell this story, because like you said, like if you could write a story that takes place on Krypton that could be a perfectly fine story.
Thanks.
It would just, or you could, or anybody could. It
would be perfectly fine. It would be serviceable.
If you wrote it, it would be brilliant, I'm sure. But it.
Yes, you could be more patronizing. I was going to say, could you be more patronizing?
I wanted to answer. 255 AD just dropped it in again. I was going to answer it, I swear. But thank you for dropping it in again. How do I feel about breaking world building for the sake of the story? Like, suppose you have the Enterprise go faster than it's supposed to be able to, so you can get somewhere. I think everybody probably can guess the answer to this. And Dana, I'm sure you can guess the answer.
Steve doesn't care.
I don't care. Care. And in fact, Star Trek does that all the time.
As Karash points out.
Yeah. Star Trek does that all the time. It does it in TOS. It does it in the movies. And as long as it's a good story, I don't give a shit.
Yep. Now, Andrew said if the backstory, I liked that. If the backstory is spelled out beforehand as exposition, kind of suggests that there's not enough actual story to carry the plot forward. And
that's why I think usually that's the best way to handle backstory. That was one of my, and it still is one of my critiques of the Star Wars prequels, is that this is backstory, and it feels like, and part of it is, to me, it's backstory, and to me, because I sort of center Star Wars on on Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. Like that to me is the heart of what Star Wars is. Um, and those movies are about Luke. Those movies aren't about
Yes,
Darth
that's what I was
Vader.
gonna say.
Yeah.
It's not about Vader.
Those
It's
movies
not
aren't
about
about Vader.
Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker.
So when Lucas goes back and says, "Well, I have three movies and they're all about Darth Vader," and it's like, well, I mean, yeah, and it's his thing, and he has every right to tell any story he wants. And if he, for whatever reason, has seen the whole saga as the Vader story instead of the Luke story, that's his prerogative. But from my perspective as an audience member, yeah, exactly. But from my perspective as an audience member, like I don't really care about Vader in that way. I like Vader as a villain. I don't really need to know where he came from or how he came to be, um, other than maybe just a line of dialogue here and there if you feel like it's necessary. Because to me, Star Wars is about Luke, and I don't care what happened to Luke's dad. Like I mean, I know, I'll say, I'll put it. I already know everything I need to know about it. Because it's all in the original trilogy.
Mhm.
Like, I just need to know, oh, he used to be a good guy and then he turned to the dark side and fell and became a bad guy. And then at the end, his son kind of redeems him, sort of. And,
See,
that's,
I think that the exploration of how does someone who is a good person become how does I mean that's something that I explore that I've been exploring for almost 20 years in my classes. How does someone become power hungry? And we talk about this when we get the opportunity to study Julius Caesar, because we also talk about how not having enough power is a problem. Like if nothing that we talk about this with Wes Moore. If we
yeah,
talked about this with Wes Moore,
yeah,
when what you do doesn't matter, that sucks. When what you do doesn't have an effect on your life and your environment, it sucks.
yeah,
Not having that agency. So there's not enough power, there's an appropriate amount of power, and then there's too much power, which according to Brutus, makes nobody gets through that and stays a good person. So where are those dividing lines?
right.
And what warning signs should we watch out for? When somebody is getting too much power, and how can we tell? And I don't have any good answers for that. And the prequel movies could have explored that, and did, but didn't do a very good job.
Yeah, not in a
I
way
think.
that, yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I agree. Yeah, I think we both feel very similarly. Not in a way that was all that compelling. Um, 255 AD says, "How would you feel about telling stories in the Star Wars universe that have nothing to do with the Skywalker dynasty?" Well, I mean,
Oh God, I was hoping they were going to go that way, and then they.
yeah, I mean, I like the Mandalorian, and actually, the cameo of Luke at the end of season 2 of the Mandalorian kind of gets on my nerves because I feel
Well.
like this was a separate
Mhm.
sort of area, and I liked it on its own terms. And then they brought, and again, like I think I've said this a bunch. Like Luke is my favorite character. To me, Luke is the protagonist of the whole thing. But the Mandalorian wasn't about Luke, and Luke
Yeah.
had no place in it. I mean, I even, and people say like, oh, but he was a Jedi, and Baby Yoda needed a Jedi. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't have to write it that way. Like
Yeah.
it's all fictional. You don't need, if you don't. It still feels like Luke is shoehorned in because it's fan
Yeah.
service, and it's like, look, it's Luke, it's Star Wars, and it just feels distracting, and it feels like it's like it's
Unnecessary.
well, and not only that, yeah, unnecessary, and also, I mean, it's the last scene of the last episode of the season, and it's not about any of the characters in the show. It's about
Mhm.
Luke, who is not a
Yeah.
character in the show. And it just feels like, no, this is not a good idea. So, and yeah, it's Colin said Rogue One. Yeah, Rogue One is similar thing. Like it's attached to the story
Mhm.
of Star Wars, but it's none of the, except for Princess Leia showing up at the end and Tarkin being in it, but they're not. I mean, Tarkin's just kind of there, and Leia doesn't show up until the very end. Um, it's mostly about completely different people telling a completely different story. And yeah, and
See, that's
I
really
like that
interesting.
too. I like that too because the story justifies it. The Now Rogue One, the premise of Rogue One did not.
Justifies Leia's presence.
No, I could have done without Leia just because I just think the CGI was distracting. I just think it. I mean, I I don't know.
See, again, you're a professional. I'm not. Like, because I remember people talking about the uncanny valley effect, and I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, hey, look, it's Leia! Yay!
I will say in terms of storytelling, I think Leia's presence is more acceptable to me than Vader. Even though, like, if you
Wait,
look at
what? Huh?
if you look at Vader in Rogue One, just in isolation, he has some really cool scenes,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really feel like he belongs in the movie.
So I was more curious about your reaction to Leia showing up at the end of Rogue One
Right.
versus Luke showing up at the
Oh,
end of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
yeah. Well, it's more acceptable because, I mean, for one thing, Leia's there for like 10 seconds. Like, it's the last shot of the movie. And, you know, and
She's
all
not,
of
so she's not in it as much.
and all of the characters, all of the other characters in the movie are dead. So, like, you know, like, it's not like we're taking time away from them to shift
Because
over
they're
to this.
dead.
They're dead. Their story's over. And, you know, but with
So it's more of
Mandalorian,
a it's more of a transition.
yeah. And
Okay.
With Mandalorian, it's like Mando is literally standing right there.
I'm
And
right here,
every
guys.
but the focus is totally on Luke, who is
Yeah.
not a character in the show. And it's like, what about the guy we've been following for this whole series? And he gets like a quick, like 10-second goodbye with Baby Yoda, and it's like, oh, okay, so the relationship that this entire show has been built around this whole time, they get like a quick little goodbye, and then it's like, okay, back to Luke. And it's like, what are we doing? This, you know, why is this about Luke? It shouldn't be about Luke. It should be about Mando and Baby Yoda. You know.
All right. I'm actually ready to wrap up. I'm
Okay.
feeling my caffeine is gone.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, okie dokie. So
Yeah. So yeah, so
I really
yeah.
if I don't know if you guys have would be willing to watch that video. If you have objections to what I suggest in my standardized testing video, the recent one, I think it's in my One Teacher's Thoughts playlist. You know, if there's something I'm missing, but otherwise, like, please, your legislators, but also Biden and Dr. Jill and
the Secretary of
Education.
Education.
Yeah. Just, you know, put it on their radar. I know, you know, we don't really have to worry about it like right now, but we're on semester blocks and we're losing 3 weeks of classes. I mean, technically we're still going to have classes, but it's going to be hybrid, and we'll have half the students in person and half the students remote. And it's just, I mean, they're not going to, the tests are theoretically going to be counting their full amount. And I'm just like, this is not good, guys. This is not good. Not good. Can we not? And nobody's listening. No, I'm not anybody, you know, I'm just a teacher.
Yeah.
So if it gets some traction and gets some attention, you know, maybe it'll get on the radar, but there's no reason for Cardona to listen to me.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody help out with that. And it's a good, I mean, it's a good video. I can tell you because I edited it. So I've watched I've watched it 3 or 4 times.
So much. Thank you so much for what you did, because I know the you know, I popped over to the library in between school and
it wasn't, yeah. But so yeah, and also just check out Dana's YouTube channel in general, youtube.com/DanaCodeDares. It's linked in the description, and leave her comments.
Oh yes, please do. Oh, and Sarah is not here, but thank you. If you watch this later, thank you, Sarah. You are a very wonderful commenter, and I appreciate your conversations. And also, don't forget about our friends who could
the charity links
in the charity links. The charity links page in the description. So
Yep.
if you happen to have some extra funds and you are so inclined and you want to help somebody, helping people is good. We support this. Yes, Corey, charity links.
Links. And also, if you are if you want to join us on Friday for our first episode of our new read-away series, where we will be reading Quicksand by Nella Larson.
The first book that Steve has picked.
That's right, the first book that I have picked. So make for that, have chapters 1 through 3 read. And they're not that long. It's not a super long assignment. The chapters are pretty short. So just make sure we're going to talk about chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Quicksand on Friday. And then
Fingers crossed that it doesn't suck.
Yeah, exactly. Because
ain't read it
we're
yet.
both going in cold. Yeah, we're both going in cold. And then next Wednesday, we'll be back for another Trek Reluctantly, and we'll be going back to Deep Space Nine, and we will be watching episode 2 of season 2, which is titled The Circle. So there you go. That's it, everybody. I'm going to put my lights away, and I can have a few minutes to relax before wrestling starts.
Wrestling. Who are you excited about for tonight?
Well, CM Punk again. It's his Dynamite debut. And also there's
can they top last time though?
No.
The
Friday night in his debut Friday night was absolutely perfect. There's nothing that's going to happen tonight that's going to top that, I don't think. But I'm still looking forward to it. And also I think one of the big
it was so sweet. Like, I haven't even been following much, but just like his face.
Oh, it was and it was genuine. Like, you could tell he was really like moved by it, you know?
Yeah.
And
so I mean, not just so nice to be able to be back and to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But to be welcomed so much. Oh.
They blew the roof off the place. I mean, and and also what I loved as an old school wrestling fan was it wasn't just him coming out and giving a nice little speech and leaving. Like, he set up a match for the pay-per-view. It was like a wrestling promo. It wasn't just, it wasn't just, hey, it's good to be back, glad to see everybody. Well, it was no, I'm here and here's who I'm wrestling. And it was great. It was perfect. So he's going to be on tonight. And then also there's a tag team match between the Lucha Brothers and the Varsity Blondes that I'm looking forward to. And one of my favorite guys, Orange Cassidy, is wrestling tonight. He's wrestling Matt Hardy, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So, looking forward to wrestling as usual.
Nerd.
I am. I think I've told you before. Being a wrestling nerd keeps me humble, because you can't be a snob and love pro wrestling.
Maybe you can't.
Well, I can't. It doesn't go together. Oh, some people try. Some people try. Nobody's pulled it off yet, but some people try. It's like being a snob about like drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's like, no. You can love it. Like, you can love it with all your heart, but you can't be snobby about it. It just doesn't fit. He's a Natty Light snob. No, he's not.
I was just thinking about Natty Light.
Think of the cheapest trash beer, and there's some guy who's like, yeah, that's all I drink. Okay, but like, that's not impressive. You can't be snobby about it.
Just going about Pabst versus Natty.
Oh God, and like having like a really serious opinion about this, and it's like, okay.
That needs to be our next video. Aside from the fact that like, I'm not willing to suffer.
You don't like beer at all, though. So I mean, we'd have to like flip a coin. I'm not like a huge fan of either one of those particular beers. I mean, I'll drink one if somebody hands one to me, but it's not. I'm not gonna I'm not like.
I'll be like, oh no, really? You enjoy that?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
What I'm liking lately is gimlets. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Oh yeah?
Yes, except I don't make it with simple syrup and tonic water. I just make it with Diet Sprite.
And vodka? Yeah.
No, gin.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Gin, lime juice, and Diet Sprite. Oh, it's so good. So good. Just like a lovely mix of flavors.
I used to like, back when I drank more frequently than I do today, I would make it was gin and club soda and lemon, and that was good.
Yeah,
it's nice and simple, nice and clean, and yeah.
I've just started just in the past few months I've started trying things with gin, and I really enjoy it. A nice, like, it's herbal but not like too medicinal. I also really like, I like tequila, but specifically Avión. That's it. I don't know if that makes me a snob or not, because it's not like crazy expensive, but it's like that's it. Yeah. I've never had another kind of tequila that I really liked. And
well, I mean, that's just having a particular taste. That's not necessarily being a snob. I mean, I would much rather drink a Coke than a Pepsi. I don't think that makes me a Coke snob. It just makes me someone who prefers Coke. I don't think it makes me better than anybody, except people who prefer Pepsi, obviously.
No. But see, that's not what makes you better than other people. You're better just because you're Steve.
That's right. CM Punk prefers Pepsi, and it's a major flaw in his character. But you know,
see, that could be your promo.
You Pepsi drinking motherfucker. I've come out with like a conspicuously carrying like a Coke cup and being like, "That's right. What do you think of this, Punk? Huh? A real man soda."
All right. Good night, folks. Steve, I'm so glad I got to share this with you. And I'm really glad that you're enjoying it as much as you are.
Me too. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll see you.
We'll see you on Friday.
We'll see you on Friday for Read Away, and we'll see you here next week for the next episode of Deep Space Nine. So thanks for watching. Have a good night, everybody.